All right, this is the October 2022 Idea Share, which is a conversation hosted each month by Key Ministry. And it's just an opportunity for ministry leaders to share what's going on, to ask questions, to brainstorm, and to encourage each other. So I'm Beth Golick. My colleague Catherine Boyle, who's our Director of Mental Health Ministry at Key Ministry, is here. And welcome. It's great to see everybody. All right, well, I missed August's discussion, but I heard it was fantastic. And September, we didn't meet because it was Labor Day here in the US. So I feel like it's been forever. So tell me, what's going on? What's on your mind? What do you want to brainstorm? What questions do you have? What do you want to announce? Meekins, go for it.
Thank you. I am so excited because we got the wonderful privilege of talking at an Awana conference in Bowie, Maryland, Saturday. And the coolest thing was there were lots of breakouts, and there was probably about 4 different times that people could go. Yeah, 4 different times that people could go to a breakout. Well, the very first one that we did was called Reaching the Heart of the Child Who Struggles. We had standing room only in our classroom. And it's nothing about us, it's about the topic. Yeah. But what a wonderful opportunity to be able to really influence and give some equipping for people who care about that, you know, who really want to, they're struggling because they're struggling with the children, and they wanted to know, how am I going to love this kid? So it was a really good day, and we did 2 breakouts twice. And they were all, you know, it wasn't standing room only every time, but it was well received. And we heard from the director or the missionary for that area, the Awana missionary for that area. He said that talking about children who struggle, children who have challenges is what, number 5
requested topic.
And requested topics throughout the country for Awana. So y'all are doing good things. And I think, you know, the movement is moving. So we're excited.
That's great. Well, thanks for sharing, but thank you also for the work you're doing. This is incredible. And being able to reach ministry leaders outside of our little circle of disability ministry leaders, right? So that's fantastic. Yay. Excellent. Who else would like to share? Al, what's going on in New Jersey there?
It's actually a little noisy here. I'm at Liquid Church. It was the grand opening of a new cafe that's opened here, called the Clean Water Cafe. I'm sorry it's so noisy in the background, but yeah, it's been open for 6 weeks, but today was the official opening. And it hires and employs probably 15, 20 young adults with disabilities here. It was actually a Christmas offering in 2019, but because of COVID, it got delayed 2 years. So it's been a very exciting day today, seeing this open up. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But there's a lot of job coaches here with the different workers here. And it's really exciting to see this large of a cafe. And yeah, they have Chick-fil-A as well for lunch. So I have Chick-fil-A sandwich I'm eating. So yeah, employment is something very important to me for young adults. And it's exciting to see how many people have gotten hired here. Some go to the church, some don't, but yeah, it's an exciting development that's taken a long time coming, but it's happening.
That's amazing. Thank you. Okay, so I have so many things to say about this. First of all, can anybody else top doing a live in-person demonstration of what you want to talk about today? So that's really cool that you're on location now. So many things. So that's fantastic. I love that there's job coaches there. I love that this is something that's really been in the works for a long time. Like, people had the heart for it back in 2019 for the Christmas offering, and have stuck with it through COVID and through everything else. So that's just fantastic. Thank you. These are like such good things so far. So so much fun to hear. Thank you for sharing. That also reminds me that later this month, so the 3rd Wednesday, whatever day that is, I don't know off the top of my head, but whatever day the 3rd Wednesday is at noon Eastern time, our Disability Ministry Video Roundtable is going to be, I think I think that's kind of our topic. What role, yeah, Catherine will say for sure. I shouldn't be winging it. She'll let us know for sure. But anyway, hopefully.
It's about the transition cliff.
Yes. Okay. So, so we want to talk about what role churches can play for, young adults and their families when that, depends on your state, but when you reach that magical age and suddenly a lot of the programs and things are not available. So Al, I hope you can join us, and because it sounds like you have good information to share there, what's going on at Liquid Church. So, all right, awesome. Who else wants to share today? Well, while you're thinking about it and getting your getting ready to unmute and share, I'll share one quick little thing. So in addition to Key Ministry, a lot of you know I also work at a church, and there were a lot of like little opportunities that were I felt like being presented. People saying, you know what, I'd love to do some kind of game night. My sons play this Pokemon card game, and they play at like some store at the mall, and these are adult sons, and they noticed that a lot of the kids that were coming into play seemed to be on the spectrum, and they said maybe this is something that we could make a ministry out of, type of thing. So that was one thing. And then local to us, there's a family that is wanting to, their daughter has reached the transition cliff, and they're wanting to start like a game store / cafe where young adults can come and gather and just have community and play games, because especially with COVID too, like a lot of these opportunities just vanished, and families are really looking for community. And then Young Life Capernaum is always looking for outings and that type of thing. And so our church is partnering with this future game store. They don't have their location yet, and they're going to host a pop-up game night at the church. And I'm really excited because it came about really, really quickly. It's happening next, let's see, I'm trying to think, in 2 weeks, week and a half. And I'm just excited, like people are talking about it, and it's such a great community event. So I'll be able to report back in November how that went. But I'm just really excited to see what God's going to do with it, because it's all these different unrelated people kind of having the same idea. And so let's, tie those together and see what happens. So what else? Yes, Tony.
We did Jacob's Ladder did our 4th FCA All Abilities Camp that Beth was at. And we were again the fitness station. And it went very well. I think we had 60 some campers, and it was in Avon. It went very, very well. And also Jake and I don't know, 2 months ago, did a grand rounds for the Cleveland Clinic OTs and PTs that work with people with special needs. And we did it from our basement. And this was great. I don't know if you know what grand rounds are, but they're like where they call in like experts to talk about a topic, and it's on the medical side of things. So we were like the quote experts, and I was like, uh-oh. So anyway, we did it from our basement. We demonstrated exercises. Jake did all the demos, and our phrase that I came up with in the last couple of years is expectations with grace. And so try to have expectations for our kids, as opposed to just saying, hey, you can do whatever you want. But they like that. And they sent me an email back and said, dear Tony and Jake, thank you very much. We really appreciated you guys. We love the expectations with Grace. And one of the therapists said this was the best grand round she had been on in like 10 years or something.
Oh, that's so great. That's
We
really
felt,
cool.
yeah, we felt pretty good about that. And so that's what's going on with us.
Good.
Our church wants to do a night to shine. Our church here in Columbia Station wants to do night to shine.
Great.
And we want to go over to the Tebow Foundation, the thing you guys are doing in PA, that camp. And I responded to them and said, hey, we'd like to do some fitness stuff with you guys. So
All right.
anyway,
Tony, always networking. That's good. That's
you
good.
got it.
So for those of you who don't know, Tony is in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and the camp that he talked about, the All Abilities Camp, was put on by FCA, which is Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So probably your towns also have FCA. They probably don't all do the All Abilities Camp, but that would be, it was a really cool event and it was fun to volunteer at it. And I can attest that Tony's station was really fun. I was a buddy and I did a somersault on the mat because that was part of the fitness station. And it's been a while since I had done a somersault. It's very different as an adult. When I was done, I was like, whoa. So anyway, but it was very fun. Yes, and I encourage churches to check out Being a Night to Shine host church. We're going to do it again. We co-host with another church. And I mean, even this morning, I had a guest from a previous year call and say, are you doing Night to Shine? It's like, yes, February 10th, registration, you know, we're not ready yet, but it will be ready in November. So, all right, let's see who else wants to share. And we've had like all this awesome stuff, but I know there's like a lot of struggles too and questions and brainstorming we need to do. So.
Hey Beth, this is Bronwyn. Sorry,
Hey.
I'm low tech today.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Because I literally have no idea. So in our ministry out here in Davis, California, we have seen a lot of like kind of upper elementary and like junior high students really struggling like with their peers. Like a lot of parents have said, hey, you know, school's been really, really difficult this year with their peers, and so they don't want to come to church on Sundays because they don't want to have to do another peer interaction, which like I get that. And this is actually an idea that one of the students had. They are starting to serve in our kids ministry. These students who are struggling with their peers, they will come to church because they're now serving in kids ministry. And so it's been kind of a fun experiment kind of thing to see because a lot of them are serving in inclusion and supporting kids on the spectrum, kids with ADHD, kids with profound anxiety, and the volunteers also have these themselves, and that's why they're struggling with their peers. So it's kind of neat to see this like opportunity that God opened up, and it was actually the idea of one of the students. He's a junior hire. He said, "Hey, can I help in kindergarten? I love kindergartners. I loved it when my sister's in kindergarten. I really want to help." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll talk to your mom." And it's working out great. And there's been a couple other students that have followed. So you know, maybe like an unconventional ministry structure, but it's been, I think, a blessing for the students, both the volunteers and the ones in the classes, and also their families.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So it's accomplishing so many things at the same time, right? So it's giving you, yeah, Catherine says in the chat, unconventional is a godsend. Yes. So you're getting volunteers, you're getting peers. So it's like kids who may be experiencing the same kinds of struggles are actually able to serve and to help their younger students. One of the things I love about when people volunteer in, children's ministry or in special needs ministry is they're getting the gospel every Sunday. Like they're hearing the lesson, whether they, had intended to go to church or not. Like they're getting the message. So that's really cool too. I love it. Yay. Oh yes, wait, I have a couple hands raised, but I lost you. Yes. All right, Ellen. And then
I just wanted to, hey guys, I just want to comment on what Bronwyn said. I love that so much, Bronwyn. My little sister, she lives with developmental delay, and she actually works every Sunday and every Wednesday. Her social circle is our more self-contained environment, but she loves it, and she connects in a level that, you know, I can't quite as well, and she understands, and she's able to give feedback. So we're seeing that as well in our ministry. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we all have different gifts, right? And it really is such a benefit to not just the person who's serving, but for the whole ministry when we're utilizing everyone's gifts. So thanks for sharing, Ellen. Meekins and then John.
You can go to John.
Okay,
Just go to
John.
Okay. Yeah, go to John. We're good.
Okay.
Let John talk.
Okay, John.
First of all, I want to say this is like a party for me because I'm seeing so many of my friends here. I
I
got my
know,
two
right?
ministry people. I got my buddy El from Special Fathers Network. I got my coworker Ryan with Johnny and Friends. If I don't behave, I'm going to get an email from somebody later. But anyway, no, we're good. I just wanted to share because for those of you who don't know, I do work with Johnny and Friends in Chicago now as a ministry relations manager. So my job literally is to interact with churches, build relationships with them, help them develop disability ministries and such. But I just want to speak to a really cool church that I think is really getting it, that I was able to go and visit about over a month ago. And they did a couple of really cool events, but one thing that really stood out was they did a Disability Awareness Sunday. And I don't know how many of your churches have engaged in something like this, but it was really valuable because, first of all, the entire service was geared toward the disability ministry, from the pastor's message to a little just kind of a Q&A that they did with some of the ministry leaders. They had videos about friendships that some of the typical kids in the kids ministry had made with some of their friends in the disability ministry. And they just wove all these wonderful little presentations in to really, promote the ministry to the congregation, to say, one, we just want to let you know this is going on here. Two, this is why it's important, but then also this is why maybe you do want to get involved. They weren't hurting, and they're not hurting for volunteers, but I think it's great because in terms of really bringing the congregation, along, and, these different levels and steps that we talk about in terms of developing these things, this is how you really kind of, tie all of that together. So I thought they did a really great job with it. And then a couple of weeks later, when they had a social night, like a respite event for the parents, and I attended that as well, rather than just dropping the kids off, they actually hosted a kind of a support informational session for the parents. Parents got to share, parents got to actually speak on some different topics, share questions and that type of thing. So it really had value. So I just loved how they were tying all these things together, as well as, again, not just bringing awareness to the ministry, but also really, weaving it into the fabric of the church. So, just some really great things I saw there.
I love it. A lot of relationship building, and that's really great. And anytime we can move from like being a silo ministry to being part of just the fabric of the church, I mean, that's what we need to be really aiming towards. I love the fact that different ministries at our church are, as they're planning events, they're starting to just, hey, Beth, let me run this by you. Like, what can we improve to make this, more welcoming towards families with disabilities? And I just love that they're thinking about that now, that's on the radar. So that's awesome. Thank you, John. Who else? Meekins, did you have something?
Thomas controlling the mute button, so I'm going like this.
Okay.
So I can talk. I was just going to say that I really appreciated what Bronwyn said, because there were people at the Awana conference in our presentations that were concerned about this peer thing that's going on, and that they were saying kids are struggling more than they did before COVID. And that was what the pulse on several people that were sharing with us at the conference. And I thought, okay, this is something that we're going to send them an email this week with all the goodies that we promised them. And we can add that idea in for those kids who don't want to be near their peers right now because they're inundated with all that stress at school. So thank you, Bronwyn, for sharing that, because I really think that could make a difference for some of these kids.
Yeah, I agree. That's great.
I mean, my thought was you might as well take the weekend off from the peer struggle, right? If you're doing it Monday to Friday and some of these kids are doing extracurriculars and they come home and they're all burnt out. This is also happening in my own household. So I know, why not make Sunday a time where you can go hang out with kindergartners, preschoolers, first and second graders, and play, and like Beth said, listen to the gospel, like maybe in a different, more accessible way than when you're stressed out upstairs in the youth ministry with your peers. Yeah, it's been kind of a fun deal to see play out.
Amen. And we all benefit from going back to the basics, right?
For sure, for sure. All right, who else? Yes, Allison, hey.
Hey friends, it's nice to be back, isn't it? It's funny, I've got like a little snippets, but on a much smaller scale of all of those sort of going on in my church. And I just wanted to share, we had a new group meet yesterday. That's something that, again, it's been in the works pre-COVID, but then we couldn't ever quite work out the right timing. And then the hosts were sick, and it's just one of those things, but came together this weekend. So we have a couple who are very instrumental in actually starting the disability ministry in our church, gosh, over 16 years ago, when they had a child with severe disabilities. She's actually passed away, but this couple really want to pour into other families. So we had a post-service lunch for families across both our campuses, brought them all together, and just gave them a chance to get to know each other. We had the kids do fun activities with siblings and some volunteers. So it was like a bit of a mini respite night, but we're still holding our respite night this weekend. But it was just a chance for Sunday attendee families just to start getting to know each other, spending time with each other, getting to start those relationships, but have it in a time where, because a lot of them travel up to about an hour to come to us on a Sunday. We didn't want to extend, ask them to come out another night during the week or some other time. So this seemed to be the sort of best time, provide lunch after church and then hang out together. And the feedback was really positive of just how nice it was to be able to meet with other parents, know your kids are cared for, but also just to not actually have a set agenda of a program, but just time to start seeing what this is going to bring. So we're going to try and do it every month, and see what comes of it. But it's one of those things that we've been trying to do and could never find the right time, but hey, God had the right timing, and this weekend was the kickoff. So
that's right. Oh, that's great, Allison. Thank you. That's something I've kind of been feeling like we need to do here at our church. And I think people are just craving community. And it would be really helpful for me as a ministry leader to hear from families, like kind of what they need and where they are and that type of thing. So I really love that idea. That's great. That's great. I shall be copying that. All right. What else?
I want to make sure I give everybody opportunity to talk, so I wait for the pause, but there's so much stuff that's so cool. We had our first semester, the first one for the semester parent support group meeting, and it was very well attended. There were a bunch of new people that came, and for the first time we made it really fun and gave away some prizes. I haven't been a big person on doing that because I didn't want people to just come because they were getting prizes. So we didn't tell anybody we were doing that, but they came anyway. So, but it was very well attended. And I think several people left saying, this is exactly what I needed. And, so thank you, Allison, for caring about those parents, because they really do need that kind of support with each other. And, the kids don't have to have the same stuff. They don't have to have all, if you have a child with Down syndrome, it's not just people with Down syndrome that you want to connect with. We all have certain things as parents of children with disabilities that just make us bond so much quicker. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed this, you all, but when parents of children with disabilities get together, they cut to the chase. There's none of this fluff stuff, where it takes forever for people to get to know each other. It's like down and dirty right away, in a good way, so that you make relationships matter quickly. And it's really cool.
Love that. Tony, and then I have another comment.
Well, we're starting that parent support group tomorrow. Actually, is our first meeting at Christ Church. So Tom and Julie, I'd love to pick your brain.
We
Yes,
are always
absolutely.
available for that, Tony.
So Allison and Tom and Julie, when you did the lunch, or when you did your, wait, Tom and Julie, did you feed people at yours?
We do light refreshments. It's after dinner, so we do
Okay.
light refreshments.
Okay, so I'm curious, did you know who was coming ahead of time? So that's one question. And then the second question, were the kids part of it? Or were they having fun in another room? And if, what age of kids?
We're able to provide childcare 6 times out of the year when the Liberty students are around to help out. And so we do know who's coming, who has someone to care for.
They do have to register their children.
Right,
So
but then
that
they
we know
come
they're
without that.
coming, but other people, anybody can come, even at the last minute. They don't have to register or anything. They can come.
All right, and Allison, how about you?
Similar, I did ask them to register more for making sure we had enough food and had enough buddies available. And then we all started in the same room with the games and with the sofas and the pizza. And then the parents took themselves off to a quieter room so that they could all meet and have their discussion. And then the kids were still playing in that area. And we sort of overspilled into the special needs room. Kids ranged in age from 5, I think two. A 2-year-old was there up to 24-year-old.
Okay.
So the full spectrum.
Okay.
But we did ask some of our regular Sunday buddies to come in and help, and then a couple of families from church to come and so they could play with the kids as well, and they brought their kids too. So it was an easy step. It wasn't quite a full respite night for some of those volunteers that are dipping their toe in the water, but it was also a relatively quick event because we just went from 11:30ish, 11:45 to 1.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Is it?
Sorry, it's
How do you say your name?
Deetra.
Deetra. Okay, Deetra, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm new to the group, but I attend Victory in Christ Christian Center in New Jersey, and I can't say we have a full-blown special needs ministry at the church. I know it's something that we are, we have different volunteers that might go into with a child to children's church if needed and things like that. I'm a parent of a child with autism, and coincidentally, I work for Special Olympics North America. So I'm wondering, 2 things. I've been hearing about the support groups. I'm on the marriage ministry at our church, and we are talking about, partnering with families, like doing something for families with children with disabilities specifically. I'm thinking that the support group would probably be a start. Like that's what it sounds like, is that could be a start to like a full-blown special needs ministry. I guess my question, or some more feedback would be, is it just for the church congregation, or is it opened up to the greater community? I guess that's my first question.
So I'll throw this out for anybody to answer. I know that at our church, it's open to the community for sure. Does anybody else want to answer what it looks like if you're doing it? Allison?
Yeah, we open, everything is to the full community. The only reason we only invited the parents of our church community for this particular event was we were just trying to sort of see what this would look like, that it wasn't too overwhelming with too many. I mean, we still invited, I think there were 28 families, and I think we had 10 families attend yesterday, whereas Our respite families, we typically have up to sort of 49, 50 families. So it was more of a just trying to get it going. We have a regular mums support group that we Zoom every week, and that can be up to 12, 15 people on there. And a lot of them have no connections with our church. And the same with an in-person mums group once a month. Again, that feeds from a bigger, wider variety. So it's a little bit of a, this one actually, the reason this community group came about for our church community was we're actually from our marriage ministry, because they couldn't always make the midweek meetings, the families with special needs. So it's like, okay, how do we sort of provide a time when they can make it, but still make it for that group? So yeah.
So yeah, we're also a community. Actually, I would say now, I think our group's been going for about 7 years, 6, 7, whatever. And we are probably more than 60% from the community versus from church. And also probably 50% of people do not go to church at all from that group. It originated as a part of a ministry of the church. We have an inclusive preschool. So it originated 6 or 7 years ago with a couple of moms from that preschool who got together with kids with disabilities. And then they started inviting their friends, and then we started just making all these community connections. So we have definitely moved more toward a community and even like non-church kind of situation.
Which is such a cool outreach. It really is.
Is there some sort of format? Because to be honest, like, I've been a part of support groups, as a parent, and I think like, and this is just strictly my opinion, is that you don't want it to become like a woe is me type of situation. So I'm wondering how everybody sort of not necessarily stayed away from that, but like tried to, I don't know if it's not, I'm not like a strict format in terms of that, but like, okay, maybe these are the topics that we chat about or something like that. Like, is there a format to that people
Can I
have
call
had?
on the Meekins for this one? I was hoping Julie would raise her hand. So you came to the right place, teacher. I'm just telling you, you came to the right place.
Chomping at the bit over here. So there's so many things we want to tell you. I want to offer you a Zoom call specifically for you, Deidre. So we can put, Tom will do that for me, put our information in the chat so that you can get our email address. That's what we'll do. We'll send you our email address, and we can do that. But as far as a program or an agenda for the evening that we do, we found out quickly. We started off, probably 6, 7 years ago. We started off with it being, tell us what's going on in your life. And then we go around the room, and everybody, of course, everybody loves sharing what's going on with their life. So, and the struggles that they have. And we could see very quickly that it could morph into exactly what you're talking about, that everybody wants to tell about their woes, and we're not really accomplishing anything. And of course, everything that we do at the church, we want to make sure the gospel gets proclaimed in some kind of way, right? And so we thought, okay, we need to back up a little bit here, and we need to have some kind of an agenda for the evening. So now it has worked out beautifully, and we can share all the specifics of that, but we try to make it as friendly and low key, and go get your snacks anytime during the evening. So it's very flexible, but at the same time, there is a definite rhythm is probably the best way to put it. So we do a little icebreaker thing, and then I will introduce, we'll do announcements, and then I will introduce the topic for the evening if there is one, and then, or the speaker, if we have a speaker for that night. And usually our speakers are only like 20 minutes because we only have an hour and a half. So we want to get a lot packed into that time frame. And then Tom will do a little devotional. And that's really important. If the speaker's not doing a devotional, Tom will do a little devotional. It's very short, it's brief, but the gospel is in there. And then we have a large group discussion to get the thing going. And then we let people break into small groups, and they love that. But we want to give them something that they should be talking about in those small groups, so that one person doesn't take over the entire time to saying whatever is going on in their mind, right? So, and then we just wrap it up quickly with, what did you think about your groups? What did you discuss? What, popped for you? And then Tom ends in prayer and then we're done. So, but I know I said that really fast because I want to give other people a chance to chat, but we can definitely chat, Deidre, and we can give you all we got because we've been doing this for a little while.
I love
Tony,
it.
too.
Definitely take them up on that. A couple things, and then I'll call on Ryan. So yes, take them up on that. I think this will be a great future disability ministry video roundtable topic. So we have a topic each month on the third Wednesday. So Meekins, let's figure out a time when you're definitely going to be there, and we'll do that. And then also I wanted to point out that in the chat, Catherine has shared that's called a principled support group, meaning that it's not just a gripe session, but focus on a topic or agenda with facilitators. Some churches have small group leader training, which includes tips to prevent people from hijacking the meeting. Good to glean insights from this kind of training for new support group. Yeah, and I would definitely agree about that. Ryan.
Hi, Deidre. I just wanted to, I think gives hopefully some general wisdom when starting groups to begin with. I think regardless of whether it's a parent support group or even just a Bible study, one of the best questions to ask of the people that come there the first time is, what are you guys hoping to get out of this group? Because you might find that people have maybe even like pulling apart ambitions for that. I was just having a conversation last night with a church leader who was saying, we had this class where they were going to be teaching biblical hermeneutics. And so he said, all right, why are you all here? And someone's like, I just wanted to get more plugged into the church. So I just wanted to come here to make friends. And someone else was like, I really want to learn how to preach. And everybody had their different reasons for coming there. And establishing that baseline early on might help you to identify people who can pull it apart. Because if you don't have, like Beth was saying, that kind of principled purpose for the group, then you're going to just let the water run downhill, and where it often runs to is the gripe session. So being able to understand people's felt needs and identifying those and meeting those quickly is part of it, but then also you taking leadership and not just kind of abdicating and punting to like, well, what does the group want to do, but having a vision. And I'd hope as a church that part of that vision would be, how do we make these people into followers of Christ, disciples of Christ, so that they're learning to follow him and his lead in their parenting of children with disabilities even, and having that be part of the goal. But if you've got people that are coming for, very specific reasons that might not be in line with that, then you might feel that kind of division in the group early. So being able to just get a clear picture of what people want out of the group, and then what you want out of the group, and how do you kind of reconcile those two things, I think is just wisdom for the start of any group. If you don't define it, it will define itself, and then it'll become undefined, and then it will cease to exist. But yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think what Ryan has said. So I think what Ryan has said is absolutely correct. Also, I would say if you're going to facilitate, probably should have two facilitators and two facilitators who are trained and kind of adept at group dynamics. In my experience, and I think probably some of y'all on here, there's a spectrum of self-awareness when people are like sharing, and some people maybe are less self-aware than others, or less self-aware of how much time they're taking or what it sounds like, or if they're interrupting other people. And so it is nice to have more than one facilitator who is adept at kind of handling that in a group dynamic without like making the group, without drawing attention to all of it or whatever. And in our group, I don't think we've had the same group twice. Like in the 7 years, it's always a kind of a different mix of people. And so to be aware of like what those different folks kind of bring, I think is also really helpful going into it.
That's great. Yeah, I love the wisdom that this group has to share. So so Deidre, you came to the right spot today. We will make sure that you and the Meekins get in touch with each other. All right, who else would like to share? All right, well, I think we're good then. I think this was a great discussion today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
I think I mentioned that I work for Special Olympics North America, and one of the things that I want to work on is to assist our programs all over the country on how to work with churches and church groups. That's been on my heart for a really long time, and God sort of opened up this position so I could do this work. So I'm going to put my email in the chat.
Okay.
And for anybody that could offer any, like, this is, if I could work with Special Olympics, this is what we would like for our church. Because ultimately I work with programs all over. And so I want to be able to give for the programs to have a resource in order to work with churches, not just mine. So I'm going to put my email in the chat, and everybody could sort of, if they could think on that, that would be great, and offer up any, suggestions or ideas, or, just the sky's the limit as far as it's concerned, because they will probably be getting, I shouldn't say this, but they'll probably be getting grant money as well. So there'll be money to assist churches to do things. So I want to just open that up.
Okay.
As well.
And yeah, and I will definitely be reaching out so that you and I can talk, so that I have a better understanding and can share with other ministry leaders. So
perfect.
We'll be chatting. All right, awesome. All right. So Catherine, not to put you on the spot, but can you give us a little update on some things that are coming up? I'm thinking specifically October 10th.
Yes, so definitely check out the events page on the Key Ministry website. We do have all of our scheduled events there that you can register for. Next week, October 10th, is actually World Mental Health Day. And both Dr. Steve Gersovich, our president and founder, both he and I are presenting at this conference called the Church Mental Health Summit. It's all online, so it's all virtual. It is free if you want to participate that day, but and I recognize that it's difficult to sit through a bunch of presentations just on one day, but it is very affordably priced, and you can get packages for yourself, or if you're a ministry leader and want to get some for your whole church staff to use. There are packages like that, and it's all very affordably priced. And boy, she has an amazing lineup of speakers, and just a lot of depth of wisdom and information that will be presented at this conference. I think last year she had like maybe 4,000 people that attended this. She started it in COVID, and I think she had 3,000 that year, and was just amazed, at how many people were interested and participated in the topic. So just really encourage you to check that out for just information for yourself and for your ministries as well. And then can I give a little plug for what else we have coming up webinar wise the rest of the year?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we just did a webinar last week with Dr. Gersovich on twice exceptional kids, which are basically children that maybe have extreme giftings in one area, but they also have hidden disabilities. I mean, a great example would be, perhaps a child who has high functioning autism, is incredibly bright, but definitely has learning issues. So that video is available on our YouTube and Vimeo channels, but we also have 2 more webinars coming up this year. And the next one is going to be Wednesday, October 26th. Sadly, probably people that are in this group or people who work with special needs ministries know that I don't want to say often, but there are too many examples of false accusations of abuse that get made, particularly within the disability community. When we're talking about, parent caregivers, we're going to actually have a conversation about this very sensitive topic with a parent who experienced that recently, and went through the whole, process with protective services and doctor evaluations and that sort of thing. And the point of this is to help give the church some tools for discernment, because families really need a lot of support in this kind of situation. And again, it's something that happens often. And so it's probably something that your church will be wise to just have some baseline information about. And then the last webinar that we're doing this year is going to be Wednesday, November 30th. And the topic is called Preventing Parentification, Protecting Typical Children and Families with Disabilities. And in a nutshell, parentification is when an otherwise well-meaning parent puts adult-sized responsibilities, whether actual responsibilities or just, like information on child-sized shoulders. So if you are, particularly if you, are a parent of multiple children, one of whom has disabilities and others who don't, there's some very easy pitfalls that we can all fall into when you have, just that extra level of responsibility with one of your children versus the others. So we're going to be joined by Lisa Jameson and Jolene Philo for that very important conversation. Again, just go to the Key Ministry events page on our website to get the information and to register.
All right, thank you. All right, in the chat we have D, so Deetra is D Smith. So her email address is the letter D as in David, Smith @specialolympics.org. So reach out to her if you'd like to connect on that topic. All right, well, thank you, everybody. It was so wonderful to see you. Yes, I agree, it's like a party when we're together. And we will see you next time, the first Monday of each month. Bye, everybody.